Mr. Neguse is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Attorney General. I want to go through a couple of your prior statements. On April 18th of 2019, you stated, quote, that the White House fully cooperated with the special counsel's investigation. You're aware of that?
Mm-hmm.
Today, yes or no, Mr. Barr, under the penalty of perjury, do you testify that that statement was true at the time you made it?
I thought it to be true at the time I made it.
Why
isn't it true?
June 9th, I'll get to that, Mr. Barr.
I mean, does it have to
Mr. Barr,
do with
I
quibbling
will get to
over-
that. Reclaiming my time, you answered the question.
Okay.
I have another question for you. On June 19th of
No,
2020.
actually, I need to answer that question.
Mr. Attorney General, you did answer the question.
No, you
I'll
said
give you
under
an opportunity.
penalty of perjury. I'm going to answer the damn question.
You
okay?
said the answer was yes, is what you said.
Well,
are you saying no?
I think what I was referring to, and I'd have to see the context of it, was the supplying of documents.
No, Mr. Attorney General, this statement was not limited to the supply of documents. You stated
think
at a
that's
press,
what-
Mr. Attorney General,
I think
reclaiming
that's
my
what I was
time.
talking about.
Reclaiming my time.
I
You
think that's
stated
what
at
I
a
was
press
talking
conference on
about.
April 19th of 2019 that the White House fully cooperated with the special counsel's investigation. You knew when you made that statement that the president had not agreed to be interviewed by the special counsel. Now, on June 18th
I think
of
I
this year,
subsequently
Mr.
said
Attorney
that
General,
I was referring to
on
the
June 18th,
production of documents.
Mr. Attorney General, on June 18th of this year, the Department of Justice issued a statement saying that Mr. Berman, a former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, had, quote, stepped down. You're aware of that statement being released by the department, correct?
Yes.
And do you testify today that that statement was true at the time the department issued it?
He may not have known it, but he was stepping down.
He may not have known that he was stepping down. That's your testimony today?
He was being removed.
Mr. Attorney General, the statement did not say that he was being removed. It did not say that he was being fired. It said that he was stepping down. And apparently your testimony today is that that was in fact accurate when Mr. Berman has testified under oath to this committee that it in fact was not. Now I want to talk about
No, he was
process.
removed.
Mr.
He was
Attorney General,
removed, and I wanted an opportunity to offer him another job and
I
talk
understand
to
your
him the
rationalization
next
for your
day.
answer, but the American
It's
people
not a
will let your
rationalization.
answer speak for itself. Now, Mr. Attorney General, earlier this year, President Trump stated that he had planned to make what he described as Vice President's, quote, Ukraine dealings an issue on the campaign trail. Earlier this year, on February 10th, you stated that you had set up a, quote, intake process for submission of information, intake process, end quote, for submission of information relating to the Ukraine to the Justice Department, and that included, quote, these are your words, anything Mr. Giuliani might provide. Do you recall making those comments?
Something along those lines.
You'd concede there isn't anything standard about the Attorney General creating a special process for information related to advancing.
I disagree.
You disagree?
And I also made it clear that that is a vetting process that's available to anybody.
Is that right? Which U.S. attorney have you assigned to receive information from Vice President Biden's personal lawyers regarding President Trump?
Well, maybe if they had vetted the dossier,
There's no.
maybe if they vetted the
There
dossier,
is
we
no US
wouldn't
attorney.
have the whole
Mr. Attorney
Russiagate
General, there's
problem.
no U.S. attorney, of course, that you've appointed to do that because
What are
what
you
you have
talking about?
done with respect to this process is unprecedented. Now,
It
my
was
understanding-
cautionary so that we do not pollute the
General.
criminal investigative process with Ukrainian disinformation.
I will give you an opportunity to explain this intake process. My understanding is that you have directed.
You are gonna give me an opportunity?
I intend to right
Okay.
now. The Eastern District of New York, the U.S. attorney responsible for that district, my understanding is that you have asked that U.S. attorney to be responsible for the intake process. Is that right?
No.
That's wrong? The U.S. attorney?
The U.S. attorney in the Eastern District was given oversight of all Ukrainian-related cases, any new cases involving Ukraine.
Correct.
We face a problem with Ukraine, which is unreliable information coming in.
I appreciate
There's a lot
you
of
noting that.
corruption there. It's
I
a hall of
appreciate you-
mirrors.
Mr. Attorney General,
And I
I
wanted to make
appreciate you noting
sure that before we got into criminal proceedings, and this was to everyone's benefit, particularly Vice President
Mr. Attorney
Biden,
General,
that the information was scrubbed
I
in
appreciate you
conjunction
noting
with
that,
the
and that is
intelligence
consistent
community.
with the memo that you issued, which said, any and all new matters relating to Ukraine shall be directed exclusively to the Eastern District of New York for investigation and appropriate handling, just as you've described right now. Now, of course, the U.S. attorney responsible in the Eastern District of New York was recently changed. My understanding is a few weeks ago, you announced that Seth Ducharme would be taking over to replace Rich Donahue. Mr. Ducharme, prior to serving
Pittsburgh is in
this
charge
role-
of the vetting.
Mr. Attorney General, prior to taking this position, Mr. Ducharme worked at Maine Department of Justice. Is that correct?
Yes, he was a counselor to me.
He was a counselor
And then
to
he
you.
was the principal assistant deputy attorney general.
That's right. And rather than having the acting U.S. attorney, the deputy U.S. attorney, rather, in that district
They wanted
serve,
to swap jobs.
you now have appointed your prior counsel to oversee that very same process. With that, I yield back my time, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
The gentleman yields back.